tell you, something's wrong in a country where Tamara Lich, a peaceful grandma who simply was a political critic of Justin Trudeau, is thrown in prison again and again before she's even had a trial on inciting mischief. It strikes you in your bones as un-Canadian. We're a country that gives literally accused terrorists and murderers bail. And if it was just Tamara Lich, that would be one thing. But what about Pastor Arthur Pawlowski, also almost exactly the same amount of time in prison before a trial on the substance of his charges? Again, no criminal record ever, a peaceful pastor who spends his weekends feeding the hungry, 50 days in prison. SWAT team style arrests on the highway. And it's not just him. Once it's a mistake, twice, is troubling, but 3 times, Pastor James Coates and Grace Life Church being seized by hundreds of police. And then there's the Church on the Vine. Churches, but not just churches, peaceful political critics. And after a while, you start to see a pattern, and that pattern is we are violating human rights. Canada, which thinks of itself as a modern, human rights respecting, progressive country, in fact, one of the most lenient countries in the world when it comes to crimes, has been positively a banana republic when it comes to cracking down on peaceful protests. My God, they actually shot our reporter Alexa Lavoie in the leg. Remember this terrible moment?
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Hold him! Yo, stop him! Stop! Keep him! Stop him! You just fight on progress! You just fight on progress! Oh! Hey girl, you alright? Got shot. Take care. Bring her out, come on. Bring her out. Bring the leg. Bring it down there. Bring it to the left.
Oh, shit.
Guys, take her out of the crowd. Bring her to the left.
Hey, someone got shot in the head.
So what do you do when you see this pattern and no one seems to care? The opposition was silent for so long in this country. The courts were silent for so long. The media was atrocious, cheering on the lockdowns. No institution in our own country, no checks and balances worked. Well, we decided to make a long shot. We decided to file a human rights complaint of the United Nations Human Rights Council. Now, I know I'm a critic of the Human Rights Council of the UN. They normally have people like China and Iran on them, criticizing free countries like America. The UN in itself is an undemocratic place, authoritarian and globalist. But still, this is the one institution of the UN that claims to care about political freedom and basic human rights. And so it was that we commissioned one of our favorite lawyers, the lawyer for Arthur Pawlowski himself, Sarah Miller, to draft a formal human rights complaint against the Canadian government and go to Geneva, Switzerland with our chief reporter, Sheila Gunn Reid, and file and lodge this complaint at the UN and demand that they investigate this repeated and persistent pattern of violating the UN Declaration of Human Rights. And so today, after nearly 24 hours in an overseas journey, Sheila and Sarah landed and did just that. Sheila joins us now via Skype from Geneva, Switzerland. Sheila, great to see you. Thank you. I know you're going on about 1 hour's sleep or 2 hours sleep in the last day. I thank you for that. And you're headed right back. This is no vacation. You are there to deliver this complaint. And you did that today with Sarah Miller.
We definitely did. We landed, we went to our hotel. One of our rooms wasn't even ready, but we were on a mission. We just changed our clothes and went back out to the UN complex. We found the building of the UN Human Rights Council, and we went there with our complaint. And I must tell you, I only saw the 15-page draft that Sarah sent. Now, they only actually want an 8-page draft, but she's extra detailed. So hers is 15 pages. But her supporting evidence that she provided filled up, and I mean filled up, a 3-inch binder. a white 3-inch binder. That was our complaint. So it had her legal complaint and then all the supporting evidence of the infractions on human rights by the government and all levels of government, not just Justin Trudeau, over the last 2 years. And really, ultimately, it came down to, if you want civil rights in Canada, you better agree with the government. Because once you broke ways with the government on any issue, how many people you should have in your church, how many people you should have in your house, who do you get to serve your burgers to? Once you did that, the government came for you and you risked incarceration, financial ruin, being cut off from your bank account, and not just one incarceration, but repeated incarceration. And that's one of the things Sarah points out in her complaint is these are arbitrary detentions. People being imprisoned for things that you would never see the inside of a jail cell for. So like you, Ezra, I'm a critic of the United Nations. I'm a skeptic of everything they do. They don't even allow me in their conferences anymore. But these are the people who complain at Saudi Arabia for their treatment of Christians. These are the same people who complain at China for their treatment of religious minorities and peaceful protesters. So now maybe they need to level those same criticisms at Justin Trudeau. And one of two things is going to come of it. The United Nations is going to discredit itself further, or they will embarrass Justin Trudeau. And I'm fine with either one.
Yeah. Well, I also had only read the 15-page cover letter, which is very interesting. And by the way, folks, you can read that 15-page letter at humanrightscomplaint.com. I had not seen the 1,000 pages of evidence that Sarah Miller put together. We'll have to get our hands on another digital copy of that and put that on humanrightscomplaint.com so people can see it. I haven't looked at it myself. I'm delighted, but not surprised that Sarah would be so diligent. She's been Arthur Pawlowski's lawyer for more than 2 years. Very meticulous. Tell us a little bit about the journey, because you live in northern Alberta, about half an hour outside the city of Edmonton, and you had a very circuitous route. And I want people to know it, because I just want people to know the lengths you went to. And then you met up with Sarah halfway through, and you both went to the UN headquarters in Geneva together. I want our people to know the lengths you went to hand deliver this complaint today.
Well, and I don't think I'm talking out of turn when I say that Sarah is very ill. So when I finally did meet up with Sarah in Montreal, she was not feeling well, but she said this is a journey that she had to make. So we did it. But yeah, in the middle of the night, normally I have to get up quite early to go to the airport anyway, because I live so far from the Edmonton airport. So I would have been getting up at 3 to catch a flight at 6 a.m. But sometime in the middle of the night, Air Canada rebooked a flight. My flight was supposed to go from Edmonton early in the morning to Montreal. I would have a substantial layover there, which is fine. We saved a bunch of money, and I was going to go hang out with Alexa Lavoie. No harm, no foul. Except then they rebooked my flight. They sent me at 6:30 in the morning to Vancouver, the opposite direction, then laid me over there for 2 hours. Then they sent me back to Montreal, laid me over there for about 2 hours. And then they boarded us on the plane. And then the plane was delayed on the tarmac for, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it was just a real ordeal. But we got here, we hit the ground running, and we did what we came to do.
I'm adding up all those different parts of the journey. It sounds like it was almost 24 hours, and that's not fun, spending 24 hours in planes and airports. It looks like you are at the hotel now just to catch your breath, but I know you've got to go back out and film another story about the UN, so thank you for that. Now, when I spoke to you this morning, you said that the UN Human Rights Council is a very foreboding place, razor wire, high security place. They did accept the document. They filed it and stamped it and gave you a certified receipt, which is important. So they have accepted service of the complaint. I'm very glad to hear it. But tell us a little bit about the building. I've never been to Geneva. I hear it's beautiful. You have this imposing UN presence there. We always think of the UN headquarters at New York City, and because that's where the General Assembly is, that's where a lot of the news is. But they have a very big cluster of offices in Geneva too, don't they?
They do. This is one of their UN hubs. They have sort of a similar facility in Bonn, Germany. But, you know, out front of the UN building, it's kind of fun. There's fountains, there's kids playing, and there's sculptures. By the way, it's also forbiddingly hot outside. It's like 33 degrees. But the building itself, again, surrounded in razor wire, you can't get into the building or near the building unless you pre-book a guided tour. Well, we are not here for a guided tour. We came here to hand deliver a human rights complaint. But the building itself, yeah, it's like this white granite castle, almost like a cathedral to globalism. Mm-hmm. And as I remarked to you in an email, or maybe it was in a conversation the other day, the building itself has that Art Deco feel that reminds me of the building in the Ghostbusters or in Rosemary's Baby. It's sort of stacked on top of itself, Art Deco feel, dedicated to, evil. There might be some of that happening here. But the video that I'm planning to run out and film is just to walk people around the UN complex and show them what you can see when you go down there.
Yeah. I mean, there was this utopian moment after World War I, Woodrow Wilson. They really wanted to have a world government, and they thought that this Geneva headquarters it was going to be for the League of Nations, as it was called back then. They really thought they were going to have a global empire. Of course, that fell apart when it faced reality. I don't know, like you, I mean, we are full-time critics of the UN because we think it's being colonized by the bad guys. I mean, China runs 4 of the agencies. When you have Iran and North Korea on the Human Rights Council criticizing others, you have to be skeptical. But what I tell people is, well, it's Wayne Gretzky who said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I know you say that sometimes too.
Yep.
We've got to take these long shots because at the very least, as you say, Trudeau will hopefully be asked to reply, and he'll probably have some BS letter he sends out. So at the very least, he'll know that people are looking. And you know, Trudeau, in some ways, I think he loves other countries more than he loves Canada. By that, I mean,
for sure.
He's always trying to impress other people who don't know the truth about him. So that's why he goes to Davos, Switzerland, to hobnob with the World Economic Forum. That's why he loves going to New York to the General Assembly. He loves going to LA and New York and these conferences because they don't know what he's actually like. So if the fancy people in Switzerland know what he's really like in this 15-page cover letter and 1,000 pages of evidence, maybe that will prick him more than some Canadian in Canada criticizing him. And at least we've let the record know that someone is opposing him, even if he's had such a free pass for the last 2.5 years.
You know, in the past, Canada has been forced to respond to these sorts of complaints. Do you remember when the special rapport tour, that's what they have, these special sort of investigators and people who come and have conversations, there was a special rapport tour on Indigenous rights that came to Canada to do an investigation. Well, wouldn't you know it? There's a special rapport tour for the treatment of human rights activists with a special focus on gender. Now, normally I don't care about special focuses on gender, but boy, doesn't Tamara Leach fit the bill there.
Well, she's an
human
Indigenous
rights activist woman.
Indigenous woman. You know, that's the thing the UN and Trudeau claim to care about. Well, we saw from Jody Wilson-Raybould's treatment that Trudeau's a liar on that stuff. Well, Sheila, I'm so grateful to you for making the journey, and it's very arduous. And please give my best regards to Sarah Miller, who I understand is really feeling ill, but she had accomplished her mission of delivering, I think in a legal term, we'd call that service of the document. We served the document. It was stamped received. So it's official now. They can't claim, oh, we lost it in the mail or we lost it in the email. And I know you're coming straight back. I want to say to the folks out there, I believe this is an important project, even though I believe it's unlikely to score a true hit on Trudeau. I think this is worth doing. It's the kind of thing that if we don't do, no one else will do. And if you share my views on that, and if you are thrilled to see Sheila, our chief reporter, in Geneva after such an arduous journey, I would not be smiling if I had 24 hours on a plane, Sheila. You're a good egg. Friends, if you are proud of Sheila and proud of Sarah Miller, who's been one of the best lawyers on our whole team, please go to humanrightscomplaint.com Read the 15-page cover letter. We'll upload the 1,000 pages of evidence there too. And please help us
and
cover
the receipt. Let's
the
put
receipt.
the receipt on there too.
Thank you. And help us cover the cost of their economy class airfare and their economy class hotel. This is not a luxury vacation. It's not a vacation at all. But between the legal fees for the drafting, the journey, and the other costs, we need tens of thousands of dollars. If you can help us, please do. Sheila, safe journeys. I can hardly wait to see your videos. And I look forward to having you back safe and sound in Canada too.
Thanks very much. And thanks to everybody who makes this important work possible. We couldn't do this without all of their support. And, I speak to the people that we're helping through Fight the Fines and the people being helped by the Democracy Fund every single day, the people that Sarah works with every single day. And I know that even just doing this is a great moral support for them, knowing that we know and thousands of other Canadians know that their human rights were violated.
Yeah. Well, thanks for fighting so hard. There she is, Sheila Gunn Reid from Geneva, Switzerland. We'll keep you posted, and all of Sheila's videos on this journey will be at humanrightscomplaint.com. All right, stay with us for more. What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.